Welcome to Global News on Signature TV. I am Uchenna Chimdi Oluoha. In the headlines, Speaker Abbas affirms NAS commitment to a transparent and better 2027 election. Court strikes out Rivers Local Government Commission suit after withdrawal. Indonesian school collapse death toll climbs to 9. And Wallaby is confident and excited ahead of clash with All Blacks. Details shortly.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking, events occur, and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, says the National Assembly is committed to electoral and democratic reforms that would enhance credibility and efficiency in the conduct of the 2027 elections. Speaker Abbas made this known when he hosted a delegation from the European Union, noted that reports issued by international observers after the 2023 elections are being considered in the ongoing electoral and democratic reforms by the National Assembly. Allaying fears about the timeliness of the reforms, the Speaker disclosed that a joint Senate and House leadership meeting held last week resolved the isolate electoral amendments and accelerates their consideration and passage. He noted that the National Assembly is proposing new initiatives, including reserved parliamentary seats for women, reserved parliamentary seats for persons living with disabilities, a constitutional role and financial autonomy for traditional rulers, and a single-day national election, among others. The Speaker, however, urged the EU to assist the National Assembly regarding advocacy and publicity, especially at the subnational levels, noting that the state houses of assembly must concur with the National Assembly on the laudable reforms. Leader of the delegation, Barry Andrews, thanked Speaker Abbas for working with the EU on different policies. The European Parliament member and Chief of Mission noted that the visit to the Speaker was to follow up on the recommendations in the EU report on the 2023 election and expressed the desire of the EU to see Nigeria's democracy and elections meet international standards. Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, has called on the National Assembly to fast-track the passage of proposed amendments to Nigeria's electoral legal framework, stressing the importance of early reforms for effective election planning. Yakubu made the appeal in Abuja during a meeting with the European Union Election Observation Follow-up Mission, led by Barry Andrews, a member of the European Parliament who also headed the EU mission to the 2023 general election. The INEC chairman revealed that the Commission had carefully reviewed all 8 recommendations specifically directed at it in the EU Election Observation Mission's final report on the 2023 elections. He recalled that the EU in 2019 made 30 recommendations to improve Nigeria's electoral process, which 11 were directed at INEC, including 3 identified as priority actions, while the remaining 15 recommendations from the EU's 2023 report, including 5, marked as priority. He further noted that the EU recommendations, alongside those from other national and international observer groups, were being considered as part of INEC's broader post-election review process. In his remarks, Barry Andrews said the EU mission's visit was aimed at assessing the progress made in implementing the recommendations from the 2023 general election report. He said the mission was particularly interested in understanding the extent of implementation, the challenges faced, and reforms. The Nigerian Senate has called on governors of the North Central states to provide office spaces to aid the smooth takeoff of the newly established North Central Development Commission, NCDC. The appeal was made during the Commission's 2025 Budget Defense Interface between the Senate committee and the chairman of the commission's board, Senator Titus Zam. The lawmakers praised Nasarawa State for donating an office space for the zonal headquarters of the commission and encouraged other states in the region to follow suit. Presenting a budget proposal of 140 billion naira, the commission's managing director, Tienil Yilton, outlined plans to integrate alternative energy sources to tackle persistent electricity shortages across the zone. Yilton, who said that the commission was waiting for approval for the recruitment of 200 staff members to strengthen the commission, stated that addressing insecurity is its top priority.
The total expenditure envelope that was given to us is 140 billion. We are proposing before this committee a personnel cost of 2,920 million, which is made up of the salary for our staff at the commission of 2,023,400,000. That was based on the assumption of 200 personnel, with 60 senior staff and then junior 140. Well, still, the latter is before the head of service of the Federation.
Members of the including Senators Jibrin Issa from Kogi State, Abba Moro from Benue, and Abdul Ningi from Bauchi State expressed support for the Commission's vision and called for urgent action to ensure the agency delivers meaningful socio-economic benefits to the zone.
The Chairman, if Nasarawa State government can donate a property for this purpose, all the other states must donate one property each. We're not going to rent. We'll make it conditional. They must donate a property each. Okay? Because, yeah, they must donate a property each. And for the FCT, sorry, sir. Sorry, please.
No, not you.
Okay. And for the FCT, we will prevail on the FCT minister through the senator representing FCT to ensure that we get a property. Whether he likes it or not, he must give us that property. The senator representing FCT must take that as a task.
And so, going forward, I think that our focus should be what do we do to mitigate the consequences of insecurity in our zone. So we must not be left behind.
Senators from that zone must be taken into account, must be taken along. I know these are challenging needs. They are challenging needs. These are very challenging times, particularly the security aspect in northern Nigeria, particularly north central. So I hope at the end of the day, when you come back to depend the next budget, this committee will oversight the implementation of this budget and will make no doubt that we are going to do a very thorough job in respect to this commission, because our people need attention.
The National Assembly has implemented new security measures restricting access to the corridor near the office of Senate President Godswill Akpabio. A memo signed by the Sergeant-at-Arms of the National Assembly, Etidoepo, a retired Brigadier General, stated that the corridor connecting the White House lobby to the Senate President's office will now be reserved exclusively for senators and members of the House of Representatives. Epo stated that personal aides and assistants will no longer be permitted to access the passage, citing the need to maintain a secure and safe environment for legislative activities. The restriction comes as the National Assembly prepares to resume plenary on October 7th, following a recess of over 2 months. The River State High Court in Port Harcourt has struck out a suit filed by members of the Local Government Service Commission challenging their removal from office. The suit, which was brought by the Commission's chairman, Goodlife Ben, and 5 others, who were appointed by Governor Similai Fubara, sought a court declaration that their removal by former sole administrator Ibok Eteibas was unlawful and requested an order for their reinstatement. However, at Thursday's hearing, the claimant's counsel, Kelechi Ubani, informed the court of their decision to withdraw the case, describing it as a painful but necessary decision made in the interest of peace and progress in Rivers State. While Defense Counsel urged the court to dismiss the suit entirely, Justice Frank Onyiri overruled the objection, citing Order 25 Rule 1, which permits the voluntary withdrawal of civil matters. Justice Onyiri subsequently struck out the case without awarding costs and commended the claimant's action as a noble step towards reconciliation. Meanwhile, a fresh case has been instituted against President Bola Tinubu before a federal high court in Port Harcourt over the controversial Rivers State local government elections held on August 30, 2025. In a suit, a legal practitioner, Clifford Ntachukwu, is asking the court to nullify the polls and declare unconstitutional the emergency powers regulation introduced by Tinubu to guide the elections. Chukwu argued that the regulation, which suspended parts of the Electoral Act 2022 and Rivers State electoral laws, violated the Constitution and undermined democracy. He argued that the president's decision to suspend parts of the law for the Rivers election was unconstitutional and amounted to an overreach. The suit lists Tinubu, the federal government, the Attorney General of the Federation, the Independent National Electoral Commission, and the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission as defendants. The court has fixed October 21, 2025 for hearing. The former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has firmly denied claims suggesting he plans to withdraw from the 2027 presidential race in favor of another aspirant, describing the reports as a deliberate distortion of his recent comments. The clarification came on Thursday through a statement released by his media advisor, Paul Ibe, following public reactions to an interview Atiku granted at the BBC Hausa service. According to Ibe, both the video and transcripts of the interview in the original Hausa and its English translation were carefully reviewed and found to contain no indication that Atiku expressed any intention to step aside for another candidate. Ibe stressed that Atiku's remarks were clear and unambiguous. He criticized what he called mischievous interpretation of the interview, urging journalists to avoid stretching analysis beyond factual limits. Earlier reports had quoted Atiku as saying he would withdraw from the race if defeated by a younger candidate during the African Democratic Congress primaries. The national coordinator of the Obidients movement group and former campaign spokesman, Dr. Yunusa Tanko, says the former Anambra governor, Peter Obi, will never be caught in the murky politics of vote buying or dollarized delegate inducement that dominates Nigeria's political party primaries. Tanko, while reacting to the vow by former Vice President Atiku Abubakar not to step aside for any aspirants in his quest to secure the African Democratic Congress ticket for the 2027 presidential race, dismissed Atiku's posture as mind games, insisting that Obi's political ideology stood in sharp contrast to the transactional politics that other politicians had normalized. He said that Obi will never go into a primary election where he has to buy out the delegates, which he said is the norm in other camps where delegates in every primary are being purchased. Tanko maintained that those who want to give hope to the younger generation, who may not have stolen or received so much money from governors, must encourage them to realize their ambition. The ADC, which was unveiled in July as the coalition platform to challenge President Bola Tinubu in 2027, has been struggling to get opposition figures such as Obi, former Kaduna Governor Nasir El-Rufai, and former Vice President Atiku Abubakar to formally join its ranks. While some politicians have since crossed over, both Obi and El-Rufai have remained in their respective parties despite identifying with the coalition, with Obi saying that he would not be stampeded into abandoning the Labour Party for the ADC until he is fully ready. Former Minister of Education Obiageli Ezekwesili has expressed concern over what she described as the capture of democracy by powerful interests, warning that citizens have become increasingly marginalized in the democratic process. Speaking during an interview, Ezekwesili said democracy in its current form is failing due to long-standing corruption and manipulation, which she said has rendered citizens powerless and disengaged. She argued that the withdrawal of citizens from active participation has enabled state capture, with key institutions originally designed to uphold democratic values now compromised. Ezekwesili specifically cited the Independent National Electoral Commission and the judiciary as examples of institutions that have lost public trust. She noted that both local and global stakeholders are now working to bring back citizens into governance, emphasizing that freedom and active citizen participation are crucial for innovation, accountability, and societal progress. Up ahead, students excited about smart green schools, but demand for quick completion. Edo NSCDC commandant slumps, dies at event in Benin. Details of these and more after the break.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking, events occur, and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
The Smart Green School initiative in Enugu State has continued to generate reactions from pupils, parents, and teachers. This follows the collapse of old structures into newly established facilities across the state. Signature TV correspondent Chinemerem Ikebunam visited some of the new schools as well as the old ones and now reports.
For years, government-owned schools in Enugu State have struggled with deteriorating infrastructure, overcrowded classrooms, and insufficient teaching aids. Many pupils have learned in poorly ventilated rooms, with teachers often improvising due to lack of resources. Against this backdrop, the state government embarked on an ambitious project, the establishment of smart green schools across all 260 wards of the state. The vision is to transform old, dilapidated structures into modern complexes, equipped with smart boards, robotics lab, and eco-friendly designs aimed at introducing technology-driven learning to public schools. Some of these new schools, like those at the Government Technical College GTC Enugu, Amechi Dodo, and Queen's School, have already opened their doors. However, many of the promised digital learning tools are yet to be installed. At GTC Enugu, 3 schools, Chinatown Primary School Asata, Artisan Quarters Primary School Asata, and Construction Primary School Enugu, were merged into one smart green schools. Students at the facility were seen actively engaged in their lessons, but without monitors and smart boards, as teachers relied on cardboard charts and other improvised teaching aids. The pupils, however, expressed excitement about the new environment, describing the difference from their former schools as huge and encouraging.
My former school, birds are there, people steal, and grasses overgrow. Here there is lockers, clean chairs, and beautiful tables for my teacher. Here is so beautiful and I'm learning something here so much. Here is so big and beautiful. Then the school is so small and ugly.
Classroom teachers also welcomed the innovation, praising the modern facilities but called for urgent attention to challenges such as distance to the new location and some promised modern facilities.
Even we're expecting to have our fan, other things. The classroom is well equipped. Even in our former school, there is nothing like table. We use the other purpose table and chairs, the church table and chairs. At times they will come and carry it, keep us uncomfortable.
We have many things. The lockers and the buildings are fantastic. And we learned they are going to put other things for us. And so we are expecting that. The children trek a long distance from that place over a tunnel and to this place. So it makes them come late, and the risk on the road as well.
A staff of Enugu State Universal Basic Education Board, NSUPEB, Cecilia Owono, said the board will ensure that the smart schools are properly equipped. The government, she said, intends to change the narrative where public school pupils are left behind.
Parents from private schools and mission schools, all of them are trooping in to register their ward in this school. We have a lot of them there. So the children are happy, the parents are happy, they are here. And we learned this smart school, there won't be any levy. The children will be given school uniforms, school bags, stockings and bags. And they will be having meals every day.
Parents have also thronged the school to register their wards. One of them, Mrs. Uche Chinwogo, a mother of 3, commended the initiative but appealed for school buses and shop spaces around the premises to improve accessibility.
She loved the environment. Say, Mommy, thank you for bringing us here. Changing. I said, I didn't change you people's school. It's the government that pull you people down here. So the environment was so conducive for them, for learning to take place.
The situation at GTC is replicated in other locations where the new buildings are ready but yet to be furnished, while several small schools are still under construction, delaying the full takeoff of the project. Responding to these concerns, the chairman of NSUPEB, Professor Banko Okibe, emphasized that the state government remains committed to the success of the program despite the initial delays. He reviewed that government plans to establish mini smart schools in addition to the larger complexes to make access easier for pupils in distant communities.
We build, and we also build institutions that will support what we are building. That is the sustainability arrangement. If we establish an institution that will permanently service this smart school, I will tell you what other governors coming after Amba will be doing is just budgeting money, because that board will be writing on budget request.
Professor Kibe assured that the smart green schools would commence full operation by the end of the year, stressing that the current transition phase will not disrupt the learning curriculum of students. For now, the smart green schools reflect both progress and pending challenges as pupils and teachers await the full rollout of technology-driven learning. In Enugu, Chinemere Mikebunam reporting for Signature TV News.
Are rising at Adekunle Ajasi University, Akumba Akoko, as the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities have issued a fresh warning of an impending indefinite strike over unpaid salaries, arrears, and unresolved demands. Chairman of the university's Joint Action Committee, Olutayo Ogunbeni, speaking on Thursday, accused the Ondo State government of failing to fulfill commitments made in June 2025 regarding the payment of outstanding entitlements and improved funding for tertiary institutions. He further alleged that SANU members are being owed over 2 months' salaries and lamented the inability of the university to implement the 2024 national minimum wage due to inadequate subvention from the state. Ogunbeni warned that if the government fails to address the outstanding issues promptly, SANU members will have no option but to embark on an indefinite industrial action, which would likely paralyze the university's operations completely. Reacting to the development, the Ondo State Commissioner for Education, Professor Ibekele Ajibefun, assured that the government is actively working to resolve the matter. Students and stakeholders have expressed concern over the prolonged disruption of academic activities, urging both the university management and the state government to find a quick resolution to avert a full-blown crisis. The academic environment in the university has already been under strain, with the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, currently on strike since August over similar grievances. Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, has unveiled a nationwide sanitary pad distribution program valued at over 2.55 billion naira, targeting schoolgirls in underserved rural communities across the country. The initiative, tagged Flow with Confidence, is part of her Renewed Hope initiative and aims to tackle menstrual hygiene challenges that force many girls to miss school due to lack of access to sanitary products. The official flag-off ceremony was held at the Lagos State Government House, Ikeja, where the First Lady was represented by Dr. Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, wife of the Lagos State Governor, with schoolgirls, education stakeholders, and government officials in attendance. Tinubu emphasized that menstrual hygiene should not be a barrier to education, noting that the economic hardship in the country has made sanitary pads unaffordable for many families. The Lagos State Commissioner for Basic and Secondary Education, Jamiu Ali Balogun, represented by the ministry's permanent secretary, Abisola Adebite, commended the initiative, describing it as a strong statement of support for girl-child education and well-being. The sanitary pad program is expected to expand with continued support and logistics in the coming months as part of the broader Renewed Hope agenda of the Tinubu administration. The president of the National Association of Resident Doctors, Dr. Mohammed Suleiman, has declared that Nigerian doctors will no longer accept what he described as slave-like working conditions. Speaking during a media chat, Suleiman announced a new directive limiting doctors' call duties to a maximum of 24 hours, which took effect from October 1st. He explained that the decision is part of its broader efforts to tackle burnout, poor welfare conditions, and the ongoing mass exodus of doctors from the country. Suleiman revealed that resident doctors have issued a 30-day ultimatum to the federal government to respond to its demands, warning that the severe shortage of medical personnel has forced doctors to take unsafe and unsustainable workloads. According to him, the directive follows resolutions reached at NARD's annual general meeting held in Katsina, where members unanimously agreed that doctors must prioritize their health and well-being, asserting that they are not slaves. The National Association of Resident Doctors has said that over 35% of Nigerian children under 5 years are affected by malnutrition. In a post on X, the association described the menace as a critical public health challenge that contributes significantly to child mortality. Malnutrition, according to the association, also impacts cognitive development, disease susceptibility, and national productivity. The body urged support for sustainable nutritional programs to protect children's health nationwide. Such interventions include ready-to-use therapeutic food distribution, community-based management of acute malnutrition, and infant and young child feeding counseling. In August, the federal government described Nigeria's malnutrition crisis as a national emergency, with annual losses due to malnutrition put over $1.5 billion. Vice President Kashim Shettima has returned to Abuja after representing President Bola Tinubu at the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly and concluding strategic engagements in Germany. Spokesperson of the Vice President, Stanley Nkwocha, who made this known in a statement in Abuja on Thursday, said the Vice President, during the week-long international engagement, delivered President Tinubu's national statement. He said Shettima called for comprehensive UN reforms, championed African sovereignty over its $700 billion mineral resources, and strengthened strategic partnerships with the United Kingdom, Gates Foundation, and other international stakeholders. Shettima, he said, also met with the UN Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, and secured his commendation for Nigeria's bid for a permanent Security Council seat, and in another engagement and showcased the country's energy transition opportunity to global investors. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, has attributed Nigeria's rising insecurity to the breakdown of family values. Speaking at the closing ceremony of the 2025 edition of Exercise Haskibiu at the Armed Forces Command and Staff College, Jaji in Kaduna State, Musa stressed that strengthening family systems is critical to addressing the country's security challenges. Musa emphasized the role of parents in instilling discipline, respect, and love in their children, noting that such values are necessary for raising responsible citizens. The exercise focused on family values, civic duties, and moral resilience as core elements in security challenges facing Nigeria and other participating nations. The commandant of the Edo State Command of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, Gbenga Agu, on Thursday, reportedly slumped and died at an event in Benin City shortly after delivering his keynote address. The event was organized by the International Association of World Peace Advocates. Agun was said to have been rushed to the military hospital at Airport Road, Benin City, for medical attention, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. Gombe State Governor Muhammadu Inuwa Yahaya has revealed that his administration uncovered 440 ghost workers in the payroll of the state health sector, resulting in savings of over 4.5 billion in public funds. Governor Yahaya, who made the revelation during the inaugural health summit held at the Gombe International Conference Center, said the fraudulent practices were exposed following the implementation of a biometric attendance system across health facilities in the state. According to the governor, the digital tracking system was introduced to combat chronic absenteeism, improve accountability, and eliminate payroll fraud in the state's healthcare system as part of efforts to strengthen healthcare infrastructure and workforce management. Yahaya stated that the reforms were part of a broader strategy to revamp a system he described as severely underperforming when he took office in 2019. Still to come, Thai hitman gets life sentence for murder of a Cambodian opposition politician. Displaced Palestinians shelter by the sea in central Gaza. Others continue on south. Do stay with us.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking. Events occur and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
Indonesian rescuers on Friday recovered 4 more students killed under the rubble of a collapsed school building, putting the death toll now at 9, with 54 still missing. 2 of the recovered students were taking ablution just before the afternoon prayer started at the Al-Kozini School in the East Javan town of Sidoarjo, when the upper 3 stories of the mid-construction building gave way and crushed the students in the congregation. Rescuers said the search for survivors was continuing on Friday, even though they found no signs of life on Thursday, as they called out students' names and used sensors to detect vital signs.
On Friday, October 3rd, at around 7:30 a.m. this morning, we managed to extract one of our students and another one at 7:36 a.m. We recovered both from the ablution location. They seem to have been crushed by the rubble of the ablution station. I don't know whether they were late to the prayers, and they had to rush to get ablution, or whether they just finished. But they were both there together. In terms of the locations of the dead victims, there's many. That I can say for certain, but that's how our devices have been reading the site. One spot would most likely have multiple victims. So we ask for your prayers that this afternoon we can recover more.
Flowers and notes were left near scene of the Manchester synagogue attack on Friday. 2 men were killed on Thursday when a man drove a car into the pedestrians and stabbed a security guard in an attack at a synagogue where worshippers were marking Yom Kippur, the holiest day in the Jewish calendar. Greater Manchester Police said the man who carried out the attack at the Heaton Park Hebrew Congregation Synagogue in the Cromsall district of the city in northern England was believed to be Jihad al-Shami, a 35-year-old British citizen of Syrian descent. The suspect, who was wearing what appeared to be a vest with an explosive device, was shot dead at the scene by armed officers. At least 11 people were killed on Thursday after a tractor trolley carrying them overturned and plunged into a pond in central India. Those killed included children, and they were on their way to a religious festival when the incident occurred in Khandwa, Madhya Pradesh. 3 people were rescued, including one who was seriously injured, Khandwa collector Rishabh Gupta said.
A total of 11 people were missing here, whose bodies have been recovered and moved to Pandana for post-mortem. Apart from this, 3 people were also referred to Khandwa, 2 of whom are currently out of danger and 1 is seriously injured and is undergoing treatment.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi said he was deeply saddened by the loss of lives in a post on social media platform X. He also announced ex gratia payments for those affected. A Thai court on Friday imposed the death penalty and commuted it to life imprisonment for a hitman who shot dead a former Cambodia opposition lawmaker in Bangkok in January. Ekalak Penoy, 41, a former Thai Marine, was found guilty to the killing of Lim Kimia, 74, who was shot dead in the old quarter of Bangkok hours after arriving from Cambodia with his wife and brother on January 7th. Ekalak was arrested in neighboring Cambodia a day later. A Thai criminal court handed Ekalak a death sentence for premeditated murder and also found him guilty of carrying a weapon and discharging a firearm in public. Nathasiri Bergman, a lawyer for Lim Kimia's widow, told Reuters. Lim Kimia, a joint Cambodian and French citizen, was a member of the Cambodia National Rescue Party, a popular opposition movement that was dissolved by a court ahead of a 2018 election because of an alleged treason plot, which it dismissed at the time as a fabrication.
For the first defendant, since he confessed, the initial death sentence was reduced by half, to life imprisonment. As for the co-plaintiff, who is Lim Kimia's wife, in the civil case, we sought compensation for her living expenses due to her husband's death. The court ordered 15,000 baht, $462 per month for 7 years.
I cannot say that I'm really satisfied because but I respected the court in this case have followed through all of the process that they can do, and there is no doubt that the gunman have been the one committed the crime and he get the justice he deserved already. But I still also feel that there are something the police could do in investigation and trying to get the additional 2 people that already identified into justice process.
Palestinians who fled Israel's offensive in Gaza City were seen in central Gaza on Friday, some in transit, others sheltering in makeshift camps after Israel issued a final call for residents to evacuate as its military operation expands in the north. Israel has told the entire million-strong population of Gaza City to head south as it mounts one of the biggest offensives of the war this month, vowing to root out Hamas fighters in what it says are their last bastions in Gaza's biggest urban area. The military said in a statement on Wednesday it had begun an operation to strengthen and maintain operational control of the Netzarim corridor, an area it controls dividing northern and southern Gaza. It did not respond to a request for further comments on Thursday. The United Nations estimates that 600,000 to 700,000 people are still inside Gaza City after up to 400,000 fled in the past few weeks as Israeli forces have advanced, destroying buildings in their path. In one of the makeshift tents along the coastal road in central Gaza, displaced Palestinian Iman Asaliya shelters with her husband and 6 children after having fled Jabalia in northern Gaza. The 39-year-old mother described the difficult conditions she and her family are living through, from enduring heat in the day to getting cold at night and the struggles of finding fresh water. She appealed for all countries to work together and do the impossible to secure a ceasefire for the nearly 2-year-old war.
Because it is summer, it is hot and there are flies. Other than that, there are no mattresses, children sleep on the ground. They woke up at dawn, they wait for the day to break to go to the beach because of the high temperatures and how hot it is. They wake up and tell me, "Mama, we want to eat, what food is there? We don't know what to do, we are tired. Look at the blankets, there is no vent, it is hot. We are staying in a valley that is uninhabitable." This is a child, referring to her youngest child that she is holding in her hands. What is his fault to run out of milk? What is his fault to live a life like this? A life in which a 4-month-old baby has malnutrition. Whoever sees the child asks me about his age, they are sad about him. Even if we fled the danger, we came to more danger because there is no safe place to get displaced to. We don't have money to pay for the rent of the land, we don't have money to pay for transportation. It took us 3 days to get to Wadi Gaza. We fled, slept the first day on the streets, continued half the way on the second day, and we got here on the third day. Despite the siege and the hardship we are experiencing, we ended up in a place that is not safe.
Egypt's foreign minister said on Thursday that Cairo was working with Qatar and Turkey to convince Hamas to accept US President Donald Trump's plan to end the war in Gaza, and warned the conflict would escalate if the militant group refused. Speaking at the French Institute of International Relations in Paris, Badr Abdelati said it was clear that Hamas had to disarm and that Israel should not be given an excuse to carry on with its offensive in Gaza. The White House unveiled earlier this week a 20-point document that called for an immediate ceasefire, an exchange of hostages held by Hamas for Palestinian prisoners held by Israel, a staged Israeli withdrawal from Gaza, Hamas disarmament, and a transitional government led by an international body. Thousands gathered on Thursday for the funeral of those killed during the days of violent protests in Muzaffarabad, Pakistan-administered Kashmir's regional capital. The unrest, which erupted on Monday following a region-wide shutdown and wheel jam strike, demanding structural reforms, launched by the Jammu Kashmir Joint Awami Action Committee, has left at least 8 people dead. 3 policemen and 5 civilians have been killed so far, 2 security officials in Islamabad told Reuters. The officials said clashes between demonstrators and police had not abated since the protests began. Shaukat Nawaz Mir, who leads an alliance of Kashmiri civil rights groups, said the movement is fueled by opposition to the perks and privileges enjoyed by politicians, bureaucrats, and senior officials in the region. Another major grievance, activists argue, is the allocation of seats in the Azad Kashmir legislature to representatives from other parts of Pakistan, a system they say has long been used to manipulate regional governments. The protests escalated earlier in the week when thousands of people from surrounding towns converged on Muzaffarabad, the regional capital, intensifying confrontations with police. In response, authorities cut off phone and internet links in the region, limiting information about the full extent of the unrest. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has formed a committee of politicians to investigate the clashes and called on the protesters to enter talks, his office said in a statement. FIFA has launched the official match ball for the 2026 World Cup, a vibrant fair called Triunda that celebrates the tournament's historic three-nation hosting arrangement while packing cutting-edge technology to help referees make split-second decisions. The Adidas-designed ball takes its name from the Spanish for 3 waves, a nod to Canada, Mexico, and the United States, jointly staging football's biggest show for the first time. Its red, green, and blue color scheme honors each host nation, while a revolutionary 4-panel construction creates wave-like geometry across its surface. Chianda features national symbols for each host: Canada's maple leaf, Mexico's eagle, and the United States star, with the gold touches paying tribute to the World Cup trophy itself. But FIFA says beyond the aesthetics lies serious technology, with intentionally deep seams creating optimal flight stability, while embossed icons boost grip in wet conditions. The ball also contains 500 motion sensor chip that tracks every movement in real time, feeding precise data to video assistant referees to help with crucial decisions, including offside calls. The launch follows the unveiling of official mascots and news that more than 4.5 million fans entered the initial ticket draw. The final tournament draw takes place in Washington, D.C. on December 5th, 2025. Lockwell Skelton and scrum half Jake Gordon are among 5 changes to Australia's starting 15 for their final Rugby Championship test against New Zealand in Perth on Saturday. Australia lost the bilateral Bledisloe Cup to New Zealand at Eden Park last week, but can claim the Rugby Championship title with victory over the visitors, provided South Africa lose to Argentina in Twickenham. Wallabies captain Harry Wilson said the team are excited and confident ahead of the clash, and were aiming to give prop James Slipper a victorious send-off in his 151st and final international. Scott Barrett will lead the All Blacks after recovering from injury, while Lester Fenganuku has been named on the wing for his first test since the 2023 World Cup.
Territory this weekend, and it's obviously a tough match last week and disappointing result, but it's always very exciting to know we get another opportunity at them. The Bledisloe means so much to the two teams, and they've obviously been able to retain it this year, but saying that, I feel as if this team's in the right direction, and even in those, I guess, 10 losses, there's been a lot of matches where pretty neck and neck and Wallabies could have got the result there. So there's a lot of confidence in this group this weekend.
And that's the news this hour. I am Uchenna Chimdi Oluoha. Thanks for watching.